have to withdraw it.
Huh?
I would withdraw it. It's just you need that.
Well, we didn't touch the matter.
Oh, okay.
Without actually finish that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions in terms of revenue?
I mean, again, I think we kind of talked about that before we went to council, but. Here you go, here.
I'll go with the day one.
Well, good sense. Yeah. Again, if I get some answers from department heads on the revenue. And I bet.
Which one are you asking?
Well, finance, for 1002, Ms. Carver for the SNAP food and neighborhood. She,
With the staff neighborhood?
right here, A 2170, A and A 2170C. They've not put that in.
Yeah, but I think all of us are in agreement with those.
No.
No, we all may be in agreement, but I want to make sure Ms. Carver's had time to look and see if that money's actually there. If there's any pending invoices, and I think the comment was made, if it's been there since 2021, I would assume there's not. But I just want to be crystal clear that that money is still there. So it's just an email from Ms. Carver, so I'd like to know that. I'd like to know from Chief if he's comfortable with the amounts that we're putting in. Or fines, delinquent fines, and bus patrol. Although one of them I was in agreement with. And Ms. Carver on the sale of homes. She's not comfortable with over 3 million and I, neither am I. So I just want to hear back from them. If she says, well, maybe, you know, that's her expertise, maybe I'll go to 3.2, then we can maybe negotiate and look at it. But right now, until they tell me that they're comfortable with the proposed increases, I just like to hear.
So with that said, as a tutorial,
Yes.
what is your recommendation to bring this to under the tax cap to achieve that $5.2 million?
Especially since I only have 1.2. And now we're up there, okay?
That's exactly my question.
So
So
again,
it's serious business. If you're gonna say we wanna keep this below the tax cap, then we have to work towards that $5.2 million.
and you don't have anything out of the fund balance, neither do I. Or Ms. Patrick, and I don't wanna take anything out of the fund balance, but if I get some answers to, the questions that I have, and if they're, if they're telling me maybe they're not coming out of there, Mr. Bukamov's right here, and he doesn't advise moving the uncollected taxes. And what ramifications would that have moving forward to 2027's budget, which we'll all be here for as well?
There's miscalculations within the revenues, expenditures are, shoot up. Depending on union contracts, I know I've stated the fire department has a contract in the works or we're negotiating with them, but we have to retro to for 25 and pay them for 26 if there's something negotiated in the year or the next year. That's big implications on the budget. You're, like I said, I think I mentioned before, if you're looking at a conservative 3%, you're looking over $500,000, probably closer to 600,000. So yeah, the 2 years together, that's 1.2 million. It's all coming out of the fund balance. I just want to state too that if you look at the 23 adopted and 24 adopted revenue, just to give you a little more back in the front of ARPA funding, we utilized 5 million with budget 5.8 million for 23 and 6.6 million in 24. So you get a hand down the road and every year.
And not looking at those increase revenue.
Well, I mean, we tend to use that word loosely, kicking it down the road. But I can recall many years ago here on this very same council, I've been reminding everyone that we need to start tightening our belt in terms of spending. By us not doing that, we are here today. By us not taking an aggressive approach to tighten our belt and our spending. So we have to be sensitive when we use those words, kicking it down the road, because we've been pushing it. And not us alone, everybody will be pushing it down the road. And here we are because an aggressive approach was not taken. And that was not me, that was before even the previous finance chair that was here was echoing those same sentiments. Well, let us tighten our belt and be careful what we do. Have we done that? Go ahead, please.
So, Mr. Turgid, have you spoken to any other department heads that have let you know that there are some outstanding invoices or something like that?
I've heard some issues that there may be, in certain departments,
What department are those?
that would be our code and staff department,
Okay, or code.
the only two that are there.
So,
And again, not verifying any of it, but I want Ms. Carver to assure us that we can use that money.
no, my inquiry around that is if those outstanding balances are existing, wouldn't they be captured in the expenses from a department, or how does that work?
We want to phrase that question, that you're already asking.
You understand the question? Okay, so when the department head comes and says, these are expenses, has what's been presented to us currently? Because Ms. Carver came after we had this proposed budget, to talk to us. We already had these numbers in front of us. Ms. Carver then came and identified, I think, close to $600,000 of unused money.
Sorry.
750.
Okay, wow, check her. Yeah, yes. I was talking about what would be budget.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, the 150
$150.
not necessarily budget neutral. So being that she came to us after we had these numbers, I guess my question is if there's outstanding invoices, especially at that hundreds of thousands of dollars, where would that information be reflected on?
There's outstanding invoices from previous years, and say, for example, CDB, the SNAP or the codes, and they're CDBG eligible, we can expense them, draw them down. And possibly that 202,000, 206,000, we're drawing that down for previous years, we worked on 25, 24, that may not exist for the proposed budget in 26.
But would that be a reconciliation, internal reconciliation, because we already paid for that expense?
Exactly.
So it's an internal, so you're taking it, okay, so if I were to tomorrow morning, a department had presented an invoice for $25,000 against the 306, whatever that number is. It will be an internal reconciliation, so you're draw them from CDBG, but that money will actually go back to the general fund, because that item is already paid for.
On the salary.
So it's an internal reconciliation that needs to get happen.
So
Yeah, so it's not money that we pay out, it's money that we just need to correct the transaction.
so my point is, even if there are those invoices out there, that should have already been
Yeah,
paid for.
but regardless of how many invoices we have there,
Mhm.
it doesn't affect the overall total.
That's
It's just taking it from CDBG and replenish the general fund.
which is why I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm making that point to say that. So, Mr. Turl, that maybe does that alleviate your concerns?
No, I understand that because the salaries amounts are already in the budget.
Yes.
I just want to be crystal clear that money is available.
So it is, so you're correct in that, it will replenish the general fund, but if that money will run out, say we had an invoice for $206,000 as of today to draw down that money won't exist in 26 then.
Yeah, but then the question, now this is an accounting question.
Right.
Why do we allow invoice outstanding since 2021? And this was not even, there was no reconciliation. Why is the department had allowed invoice to be handled from 21 to 2025?
Well, I think we also.
And that's what if that's the case, then the answer needs to be provided to the council for clarification, because I don't think that's appropriate.
We're talking right now close to $700,000.
Because if we are allocating money to a department, they need to draw in them. Regardless if it's CDBG or general fund, we need to draw down money. If it's CDBG, then you need to follow the protocol, submit all the necessary documents, invoice forms need to be completed, And that should be done on a yearly basis. Now telling me to go back to 2021, so now it's 4 years. And now you're gonna come down to drive down because we're talking about it. But regardless, it's an internal reconciliation. So if we were to say, okay, let's pay 25,000, I'm gonna repeat it, I'm not happy with this process, but in terms of telling me that the money there and we can't spend it.
Mr. Bear? Mr. Bear?
Yeah, please.
So I just want to get some clarity around these invoices. So you're saying, Mr. Gupta, that we can close the calendar year on our budget with open invoices?
Can we? No. We, I don't understand what you're saying.
So that
The encumbered funds at the end of the year will encumbered funds
Right.
going to the next year.
Yeah,
Is that what?
well,
Yeah.
but what I'm hearing is that a department head or department heads are saying, this is what I'm understanding from Mr. Choro, tell me if I'm incorrect.
Yeah, correct. So I just heard now from the department heads that there were invoices out there that haven't been paid out.
They haven't, that come from the department heads?
No,
So who did it come from?
Yeah, I mean.
So we need to clarify
This
this.
is correct, it's an internal reconciliation,
right,
so it probably has not happened, it's like one house. This spring, the building inspector said it was imminent collapse of the foundation on Robinson Street, we did an emergency demolition. That, I think we charged out of the general fund, but it should have been charged out of CDBG, and again, it. Well, depending how you do the accounting, it either strengthens or weakens our fund balance going forward.
So if you don't mind, so then, okay, let's go back to the CDBG, the available funding for demo and blighted building. And we took 200,000 from that and back out 200,000 from the contingency.
Right.
The proposed budget contingency back out $200,000. And we're utilizing $200,000 from CDBG. So if that's the case, then we need to utilize that money. That transaction needs to happen for the CDBG funding for demo. And then we need to go back and general fund and take that money back to replenish the contingency line. So this doesn't affect SNAP, it doesn't affect codes. It doesn't affect the allocation that is set aside. I think that was very clear with Ms. Carver. We talk about allocation and the pocket of money. Which is what demo happens, and we have money there, we draw on that. So I think they just going to be an internal here with us. Get the invoice, we're always talking about the invoice. We, just to be straight up, get the invoice, how much is the balance, internal transaction, and then we need to do backlog from this budget.
Which is why I raised the initial question, Mr. Munir. That's why I was raising that question, so we can have a pretty clear understanding that the money identified is here. So it's not money that has disappeared. However, what something else Ms. Carver said to us, which to me was somewhat that required a level of urgency of consideration, is that some of that money is due to not be here, to expire. So if that money has not been spent in the last 4 years, I don't think that it's pretty, I think it's pretty reasonable to consider the fact that whatever city functions was performed, that money wasn't there to support, that money was there, it didn't, we likely, like to the mayor's point, spent that out of general fund. So therefore, the money is there to replenish the general fund. So at this point, when you're about to lose money and we're talking about hundreds of $1,000s in a year where we're looking to really tighten our belts here, that's why I was asking, like, who said that? I wasn't trying to put anyone on the spot. What I was saying is that
I just want
If-
clarification,
if-
that nothing's come in, that the money's
hold on,
still there.
let me finish my
Yes.
point. The reason why I asked who said that, again, wasn't to put anyone on the spot. What I was asking was who said that, because if there's a department head who is saying that, then we need to talk with that department head. We need to find out, A, why that money was not drawn down. We need to be very clear with them that that money is set to expire, and we need to make moves to make sure to replenish our thing. So that's why I asked who that was, not
I'm not happy with the revelations that came out because there are buildings that we're waiting to knock down. Hearing complaints from adjacent property owners, from neighbors, working with the land bank and other ones where if we have this money, we need to move in a more expedited manner to remediate the problem. So there's an internal review at different levels of that.
Yeah, but I think, go ahead.
So, couple things, so I understand what you're saying here about a building in 2025 that we may have taken down, needs to be taken down. Or that's been taken down now, we need to pay for it. But I still go back to 2021 and what happened during those years. And additionally, in terms of outstanding invoices, I feel like that needs to come from department head and not just anecdotal things within departments, because people talk about everything, but if we need some actual facts and not some, what people suppose, think, maybe, we need some actual facts on if there's outstanding invoices, on what department they are, and how much they are, if that is a fact. But again, I still can't process how we can have one from 2021. That just doesn't.
It's again the internal accounting. There's no invoice that's open for the city
Okay,
that's been
so-
billed from 2021.
All right, so that's different than what I'm hearing.
It's, again, it's word choice in terms of accounting terms and
So I'm gonna say things.
layman's lack of specificity in terms of describing what the actual facts are.
So let me just try to say, so whenever this reconciliation is done, the money is gonna end up back in the general fund.
That's right.
Because it's an internal reconciliation, the bank says there's
Right.
no outstanding invoice, it's just a matter of us doing transaction A, transaction B.
Exactly.
And then whatever we apply there, so we can submit our record to HUD in terms of utilizing that line item. And whatever that invoice amount will increase the general fund, which is better for us.
That's why that's what I'm trying to figure out where the question.
So I will follow up, I would like for you to follow up with regards to the invoice. Let us see what that invoice amount is, so that we can able to address and say, okay, we did an adjustment on the contingency line.
What invoice are you looking at
Well-
in particular?
And
Not even if there are any invoices. I just want Ms. Carver, since last time she spoke with us, to assure us that this money is there.
The money is there.
Yeah.
She made it very clear.
Mhm.
So that's a couple times that she went through her,
Clarification.
so she went through her sheet and she was actually reading off her sheet that where this money there and from the year that they are available. What I will do, can we send a follow-up email to Ms. Sarver and ask, and also the invoice that was mentioned, there's an invoice hanging around. Can I ask you to reach out to the department and ask
I'm
them?
not sure what invoice you're referring to.
Well,
No,
Ms.
there's no
don't know.
specific, there's no specific invoice, okay?
Also tell you that department heads may say there's money there, they're not there. He's the one that makes the last say on whether there's money or not money.
But he told us that the money was in the cloud. He said the money was there.
Well, my concern is that if there is an invoice for this year, and we're saying there's gonna be $206,000 for that one on the CDBG line. If it's a debt, say if it's staffing for CDBG and staff, and it's an invoice for 202,000, that's gonna draw that down completely. It's gonna go back into the general fund, but you can't put it into post 26, it doesn't exist then.
so can I just ask, so in terms of, so there is, in the proposed budget, the mayoral proposed budget, there's the 100,000. The two amounts that we all thought, I think we all heard the same thing, or thought we heard the same thing, the 200,000 and the 206,000.
202, 206.
Yes, 202 and 206.
Mhm.
It's sounding like we can't put those in.
Well, say if there is
to the
invoice
budget.
right now, if you're down from it, for that full amount for this year, yes, it does go back into the general fund. And we can't put on paper that amount exists for 26.
Yeah, that's what that was gonna be my second part of the question
So
was.
then lead me to another more broad question. When are we gonna do this reconciliation then? So to draw these numbers down?
Well, that's the question, where's the invoice and if
So that would be, you have the
That's
answer for that.
internal, that's an internal.
Yes, because the money was not budgeted, it was more money of us reallocating utilizing the CDBG money,
Mhm.
releasing the general fund
It gets-
and get this money because one line was zero.
Mhm.
So you can't say that we can utilize that into next year when it was zero. And then we already paid all these expenses. So if we need to do a reconciliation, we need to do it and reverse the money. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing we keep going around in circles. And
Yeah, that's.
I would like to follow an email to the department head to ask if there are any outstanding invoices we need to know. And we need to make.
You guys are saying the
Ready
same
for
thing.
SNAP and votes.
For the money that we're talking
The,
about.
the lines that we're making adjustment here.
That's all I ask.
Yes.
Mr. Motivary, I've sent Ms. Carver an email asking that she provide the council with that very scenario for all money. I did that, sent that email out this afternoon, so I didn't expect to have that information here for us tonight. However, but so what I'm saying is that if we are listening to what Ms. Carver is telling us, and she's demonstrating that the money is in the line, and again, money from 2021, I couldn't. It would be it'd be so coincidental that it would almost make me uncomfortable if all of a sudden we had $200,000 in unpaid invoices that suddenly appeared. That to me would cause an area of concern that, you know, we probably would have to go into executive session to discuss.
Yeah, because it's not a policy of doing accounting. We need to close the book. Yes, you have to close the book of the yearly invoice. But then you have to reconcile, you have to do the reconciliation, you have to do journal entries and move these things to the appropriate funding line. That's how accounting is done.
Because
I don't do that, those things are good.
So you had the same questions, Ms. Carver, but she didn't answer, just to make sure that the.
No. To be clear, my question was based on the information that she provided us around the $200,000 and the $206,000 that reside in those two departments. My inquiry was around her sending us a report if there's any other money in other departments. That's what my question was.
And you send that this evening.
Yeah, it seems so. I had no expectation of her
I'm expecting
to do that.
tomorrow. She is very
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So we'll follow up with regards to the department.
Please.
And if there's any outstanding invoice, we need to know.
Mhm.
And we just need to do our adjustment here on our sheet here.
And ask Ms. Carver how comfortable she is with the $3 million for home sales as well.
Yes.
So is there anything on which you need to?
Just waiting for us to get to the discussion about the appropriate fund balance.
I was actually just gonna say the same thing, Mr. Again, if I may start that, I mean, I'm concerned about taking more than, I personally recommend that we leave that line at the $2 million mark that's in the proposed budget. And again, I mean, I don't think we have to keep going over and over and over it again, but we know that we need to put aside, I think you said 1.2 million, right? For the contracts that are currently under negotiation, possibly.
That's fine.
That's like
Let's be careful about making numbers.
In public,
public session.
okay,
Come on.
okay.
I've been
Well, I
saying
said
that
that
since
the
last
other-
week.
I
Let's
said
be
that the
careful
other
not
night, by
throwing
the way.
numbers out.
I did say that the other
Specific
night, that I thought that we should have gone into executive session with that. But since we had talked about it earlier this evening, using those
There was
numbers.
no reason to go in executive session. It was clear that at the beginning that the amount, the estimate amount, but I think we don't need to repeat it because there is negotiation going on and you could jeopardize the main.
I totally agree, that's what I was talking about the other
So
night.
the number was very clear as an estimate, so.
So let's just say this, I think that we need to leave some money in the reserve fund, in the fund balance, so.
Okay. So my point of not having a number there, I wanted to look overall at revenue, I wanted to look at expense. And then I will say, okay, that would be my question.
Okay,
So that's my number 0. So this brought me to your question, to ask you a question, Mr. Patrick. You're in favor of not going over the tax cap? So
Yes, but
how would you achieve the $5.2 million? Because right now you're at $1.7 million.
And I guess what I said at the very, very start of tonight's meeting was, although all of us, I think, wish that we wouldn't go.
We didn't say wish, we said we would like to keep.
Yes,
it
but
under the tax.
what I said earlier, Mr. Mudavera, when we first started the conversation was, I don't see how we're going to be able to come up with that $5.2 million so that we get around that tax cap
I
issue.
don't think you mentioned that. I went around to everyone and asked them, how are you with the tax cap? And everyone says, all 6 of us says, we are not in favor of the tax.
Right, but
Even Mr.
I
Toro.
also said that I thought that having to come up with the 5.2 million was going to be really, really difficult. I said that at the beginning of
I'm
the.
very clear with that. I will not repeat anything incorrect here, that all of us said, we're in favor
I think we're
of
saying
keeping
the
the
same thing.
budget below the tax cap. If you're gonna change that position, we need to know.
I'm not going to change that position. What I'm saying is, I think it's going to be very hard to figure, and what I said earlier tonight was that I think it will be very difficult to come up
So
with
how
the
would you?
5.2. So we may not be able to go
How
down
would-
to the tax cap.
So how do you work towards that? That you mentioned
I think
earlier in
that's what
terms
we're
of
all,
tax
I
cap?
think we're all trying to, talk about that
Yeah,
tonight.
Some of us are almost at 5 million, some of us are close to 5 million. You're at 1.7.
That's
You're
true.
way low in terms of what we're discussing here. How would we achieve a higher number?
I guess my concern is that we overestimate the revenue. I don't want us to overestimate the revenue, so I think we need to now, we haven't talked about the expenses yet, right?
But on assuming you had some expense to talk about.
Well,
but
I do have
expenses
some, but
already
it's still
factored.
not gonna come to 5.2
The
million, so
expenses-
I think ultimately we're gonna be back to the discussion about the tax rate, the tax cap. I don't know if I'm not making myself clear here.
So I think what Mr. Weaver is highlighting is there's a misalignment in your interest, which is not raising the tax cap, and your actions. And regardless of I'm not challenging either of those.
Right.
Because we are in a difficult position, and it is a continued difficult discussion to identify any means necessary to reduce that expense to the tax base. However, if you continue to say you don't want to raise the tax cap, but you're not making any steps towards that, I think to Mr. Weaver's.
That- exactly.
We haven't gotten, sorry.
Supporting the budget as presented, or unless we make significant changes. So I think when we continue that conversation around the fund balance, that is the only remaining balance to draw from. And that on top of the lack of intention, any other funding line, I think it leads us to say your interest and your actions aren't aligning.
I hear what you're saying. I guess I would, let me just,
Oh, go
I
ahead,
guess,
please, yeah.
what I would say though is that, I may not be able to vote in the same way that you all are gonna vote around that fund balance. So I'll leave it at that, but Mr. Brennan.
But this is I'm gonna go back to this. And echo Mr. Williams' point. If we all are saying that we want to keep the budget below the tax cap, then all of us have an obligation to help us to achieve towards that 5.2.
I know, and
If I'm saying that I'm in favor of keeping the budget under the tax cap, then it will not be right for me to come in at $1.7 million in reduction. Because it can go both ways.
no,
It has to
I
be-
hear what you're
we have
saying.
to align. and
We're
say,
in a tough
we're
spot.
there.
We're all in a tough
It's a tough
spot here.
spot, but we have to make tough decisions.
I
And we can't
totally
drag
get
this
that.
on because
I just want us to be realistic. So we may have to not be able to change and get down to the tax cap.
so
cap.
are you saying, no.
You see what I'm saying?
We're mixing this up over and over. We had to take a position and we move on to, and we work towards a position. If you're saying now that you don't want to defeat that, well then we need to move a step away and start the
Can't
work.
we disagree necessarily about certain aspects of this, like how much we're gonna take from the fund balance? I think in the end, we're all gonna be voting and,
Well, right now, if we were to say, okay, all of us here would like to see the budget under the tax cap, we will have to take $3 million from the fund balance to achieve what you just told us.
well, it
That
sounds,
you would like to keep it under the tax cap.
right, I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm just putting out there that I
Yes.
think that could be a big mistake in case, how are we going to replenish it? How will we replenish the fund balance? What are the ideas about that?
So I guess what we need to be doing. So there's a lot of conversations happening at the table, but there's some sub context there that we're not just like putting on the table. And I think for me, like the situation with Ms. Carver bringing forth, $700,000 is a very big variable in this budget. And we all make our decisions based on the information that is provided to us. And if there's money that is within the city, but is earmarked for a demolition or something going on, but that information, that money is not openly and transparently talked about at this table, then we're all making decisions based on limited and incomplete information. And that to me is a problem, especially when we're talking about upwards, which I imagine if there's any other departments that are in the same scenario or even similar, upwards over $1 million, which we could be talking about not only adding to the general fund, but making us get under the tax cap that we're discussing, if the money's out there. And I for one, am really not comfortable making decisions if there's information and there's money existing that we don't know about, or the money that now is being talked about has been earmarked for something else. And it only comes up when we're talking about, yeah, that to me that's where we're at. So I've submitted my numbers and definitely moved to compromise with the council members thus far. I'm interested to continue to do so, but I think that's a huge variable for our budget. Wow.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So we can look at maybe even less than Ms. Patrick here, but with the answers that I'd like to receive, maybe I can move there. But you can't sit here and say that you're willing to listen to the department heads, or Mr. Bukamunk and Ms. Carver are not in agreement with us decreasing the uncollected taxes and the home sales.
Sorry, you jumped in onto me.
To anyone.
Yes,
To
yeah,
anyone.
let me
To
answer.
anyone.
Let me answer.
So, and
Okay,
how do you justify those amounts of money?
But you like
so let me strike those two out.
Yes.
But if we were to remove those two across the board, from all of us, where would you come up with the $5.3 million to keep the tax cap that you just agreed?
Well, we're at 800,000.
Yes, so let's back out the 800,000, let's
Back
back
out
out
the
the
800.
home sales,
Back out the
and you don't have it.
1.5 million.
How would you help me and us? So you're at 1.2.
Right.
So how do you achieve $4 million more?
Well, it's obvious because there's 800, right? Plus, we're on about.
I'm asking you, how would you increase? What would you do to increase or
Well, you
decrease?
guys would decrease, so you'd have to come up with a way also to go through and find this 5.2 million.
No,
Okay, if you
no,
backed out those lines.
but how would you up your number to achieve what we just agreed on to keep the tax cap?
Again,
Uh,
well, the thing would happen to all of us if, we can't put that money in there when it's coming to us from two professionals, that money can't be backed
I'm
out.
striking it out.
Right,
I'm saying
you're
right now,
striking
I'm
it
gonna
out.
adjust my line,
right,
800,000 and $1
5
million.
$1.5 million.
Okay, I'm asking you the question. What else would you recommend
Oh, to.
towards your $4 million that is
Again, I
missing?
think we'd all be in line with the,
Let's
whatever
not
the
talk
chief
about
has to
CDBG,
say.
let's not talk about CDBG, let's not talk about
but
the
I think
fine.
other than that, we're basically all in line
If you look
on
at the
most
bottom
other
line.
things.
So we're not in line, we're in line with the CDBG that was presented to us. We're in line with the police department, the
So we're
fine,
not-
and the
so-
parking.
What's out of there is the 800,000,
Yes.
okay? 1.5 million.
Mhm.
Uh,
It's just one million now. 1.5.
let's see, 220. Well, again, then I can negotiate with everyone on,
Yeah.
once we get totals from, and then we're just gonna have to work even harder to come up with the money. Like you said, maybe those small revenue lines, we're gonna have to look and see where we might be able to
So
cut
that's what I'm
things.
asking the question,
Right.
because your numbers are so low in terms of 1.2.
I know,
Then what do we do? What recommendation do you bring to us at this table here in terms of
I'm
how
searching,
do we back that up? How do we bring that up $4 million more per year? And if I were to say I agree with your numbers currently right now here, 1.2, and I decide to back all mine out, bring mine down to 1.2.
no, that's well above the past.
What recommendation would you give to us to move towards another $4 million?
Right.
And the same question I would ask you.
Well, I think most of us are at the
yours.
same, pretty much, we're pretty close. So it is looking like it is the,
No, we're not close.
But if you,
You're $1.7 million,
well, no, I mean, if I look at the,
1.2,
across that bottom,
some of us are
line.
in the four-ish, high four,
right,
I'm just over five,
5.4,
yes.
over 5 million.
So we're not
Okay.
close, two of us is not close. 1.2 and 1.7 is way up.
Oh, plus the fund balance, I mean, you got,
it's the fund balance.
right.
It's the fund balance question, I believe.
Yeah, Mr. Farley, take
So are you
2
saying
million
that
from
you
there.
stick with your 1.7 and take the rest of the fund balance? We don't
Not-
have
not
$3
at this-
million.
Not at this time, no, we don't. But that doesn't mean that the
I'm trying to
totals,
look at the
that
other
are
places that are
forward
different from
are
everybody
true.
else.
so we all wanna stay below the tax cap, but we have
Or
to be
at the tax
realistic.
cap.
Yes, so that's what I'm using a scenario.
Right,
If I were to align with your numbers right now and go to 1.2, how would me and you achieve $4 million
well,
towards keeping tax, below the tax cap? And I'm willing to work with you on that.
Mr. Chairman, I went through the similar debate with department heads, and the option is raise taxes or lay off 50-some employees.
Go ahead, please.
Can I just get a consensus on the $700,000 that Ms. Carver is presenting? Do we not feel that money is available to us? Because I still believe that it very much is, and I just want to make sure that we all, so, because we're saying we do, but then, so I need to know.
I want to make my point very clear. I listened to Ms. Carver. I believe in our presentation, believe what she told us is accurate, and I'm sticking with our numbers.
Okay.
If there internal reconciliation needs to get done, then we need to do it, and that is internal. This will not have no material effect on what we're doing here. It's just a matter of reconciliation. So I'm not worried about those stuff that is done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mueller. I agree.
Ms. Patrick, you have your hand?
I'm just, I'm not getting 700,000, I'm getting 406,000, so I'm just wondering where the other.
Where? What line is that?
Well, aren't we
It's
just
the
talking
line.
about 2170A and 2170C? Those are the two lines that she was talking about, so that totals.
right, but she came from the 150 and 222 for demolition, and it's
Yes.
put it in.
Oh, so the
contingency.
demolition isn't on here, that's
Right.
what it is.
Thank you.
It's the demolition piece, that's
And
not
I'm
on
very
here,
happy that it's found.
but that has to,
Yeah, and
But the salaries have already been paid, so that money would just end up back in our fund balance. Which I know, but I just want to be clear.
no, thank you for that. No, we're all on the same
But
page.
that's what that's the question is
That's
there.
only a question to her.
So
That's
the
all.
question is there, the question is gonna be asked tonight.
Yeah.
We're gonna get answer tomorrow on that from the forward, but those are things that we're wasting a lot of time on
Yes.
here. 206,000 and 306,000. It makes no effect on this budget here, because either way, we're gonna take it out to general. If it goes to general fund, we'll take it back out and replenish. Let's move on to the next item, the bigger tickets. How do we achieve what we want to achieve? If you're serious about saying you wanna keep it below, on the tax cap or below the tax cap, we need to get serious.
Mhm.
Because we're right now, what time is it? 9 o'clock?
It's close to 8:49.
It's 9 o'clock, we need to move forward. Because we can't say that we want to keep it below the tax cap. And we cannot identify or help to identify 5.2 million. I mean.
But I think we all need to be on the same page that we can't put these false numbers out there as well. And then we can start to agree, as the mayor just said, maybe, I guess it's obvious to all of us that we have to raise taxes.
I guess that,
I'd like to
that is
keep
the
it
bottom
low.
line, that,
We have to keep them under the,
On
to
the,
the
on
tax
the, on the
cap
tax cap.
is
Yes.
5.2 million. What would it be, Mr. Bukamuk, if we didn't raise taxes at all? How much would we have to have?
One, if we didn't raise taxes at all.
Yeah.
Like if you stayed at 33 from last year, 33 million.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about just like probably $6 million. Well, if you go to the tax cap, it would say it'd be around 5.2.
So we're all in agreement, no one wants to pay any, I don't want to pay any more taxes. I especially don't want to go over the tax cap.
but it's
But
not.
unfortunately, we have a job to do and we need to be responsible to the residents and ourselves this year. It's the biggest job that we have to do. And then in years moving forward. And you have to think about that with putting this excessive revenue in there. And I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel.
So I'm gonna say it again.
No, you don't have to say it again, I don't have the answer. I guess what I'm hearing is it sounds like we're not gonna be able to get to the tax cap.
We're gonna try.
We haven't talked about the expenses yet, right? At all, but I mean, I don't know
Do
that
you
there's,
have any recommendation?
I made some recommendations, but there's no way that it comes to $5 million, I'm saying that,
So do
so
you have any
probably.
more, do you have any more recommendation for the expense section that we can talk about?
No, I mean, I went line by line by line just to come up with the little piddly amounts of money here that you see. I don't see other people, I mean, there's not a lot, that we haven't all, I don't think everybody has put their expenses in, right?
I've been going through it.
And Mr. Williams, I think you put in your expenses that you were thinking about cutting, right? In terms of staff positions. Yeah. Yeah, and I looked at anything that, as you recall, remember I put it in the day after you all had put it in, because I looked at all of your things and tried to use what you guys did also as a gauge.
How will you, unless just asking how you're thinking, okay.
Yeah. No, it's.
I mean, I guess, was it somebody recommended that we're not gonna be able to give any raises? I can't remember who it was, but I can go back.
I don't think anybody recommended not giving raises.
Not giving- Management raises.
The recommendation is to 3%.
That's what I meant,
3% across the board, it's right, on the expense sheet, is there.
But I think she's talking about the initial recommendation.
Yeah, I am,
It wasn't initial recommendation.
yes.
Not to give raise. And then there was the realignment on the court's meeting after the ask. So align with Mr. Party's recommendation. But that is only $100,000.
I know.
That's not an impact, so I don't think we should even discuss this. We have bigger things to discuss. The whole bottom line is that if we're gonna say that we keep this, if we're making a recommendation to keep this under the tax cap, then all of us, in good faith, needs to work towards that number. And that number we received from the commissioner is 5.2.
Mhm.
We can say that we're in agreement to keep it the tax cap, keep it below the tax cap, but we're not making a good faith effort to deliver the numbers. Then that is not genuine.
So may I raise the question then that maybe we need to all reconsider whether we're going to be able to be at the tax cap? We may have
I'm
to
not-
have the higher.
I went around the room very clear and asked everyone.
I know, I was
There's
just
no
saying we
reason
might have
for
to,
me- I will not even entertain that. If someone is backing out from that, make your point clear and let's move forward. There is no need to go back over the room and ask another question on that.
Well, then we have to come up with 5 point something.
Sorry, Mr. Williams, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Mr. Woodbury, is referencing Mr. Farley's, allotments for the revenue line. I can find myself supporting all of his revenue lines. Just to say,
Can you call out your, if you don't mind, please, call out the numbers, we can have that, noted for changes on the sheet.
The most recent sheet we got?
yeah, no, so we're in line with pretty much everything. I set the appropriate fund balance. And, minor adjustments, but sincerely, I would support Mr. Farley's lines.
Except for the fund balance.
No, he's include,
I'm saying the most drastic transition would be that usage, but that would get us there.
Mr. Farley's basically, he's adding 5.2, I'm gonna say, million to the revenue by using 4 million, right, of the fund balance.
Well, 2 that was proposed.
Right.
2 additional.
Right.
Yes, yes to that question.
I should say that, an additional 2 million is what that's how he came, for the most part. That's how he came up with that, right?
Yes. The answer is yes. We gotta pass this one before people start getting sick and leaving the table for that reason. People are passing it around.
Oh,
Yeah. That's.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I swear. I swear. All right, well, tomorrow we'll have some answers to at least my questions. And, Mr. Farley's, if there's more money hanging out there. And development, yeah.
what do you think?
You like working upstairs? It's good, yeah. And we met Mr. Gunther last week. Hunter, yes. It's exciting.
You think they're coming back?
Hmm?
They're coming back?
Oh, yeah, they have to do something, but we should do that.
I heard they went to get the pizza at the front.
We asked for it, we didn't get
I
yes.
mean, we really need to wait for them.
Oh.
Hmm?
We need to wait for them too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
I guess, I mean, we can move on by having folks take a vote. I mean, because, just because I'm saying something, my vote, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
it won't be a unanimous vote, but.
I need to come up, we need to come down and we meet here. And if it's,
I think it's just the fund balance that's the main, problem. Oh, and home sales. It's the fund balance on the home sales.
and the uncollected taxes and.
I wanna make a recommendation that we, go for another 20 minutes or so. Because, we're going the wrong circles here.
Yes, we are, so.
I'm not sensing that we're making,
No.
the energy is not in the room.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And, it's wasting our time, wasting everybody's time.
Yes.
And, we need to come back and be genuine, what we want to do. And I don't feel that we're genuine on this table in terms of what we're saying and then we back in. Let's be serious what we're doing. Go ahead, please.
And so within that half an hour, I just want to know what is it that we would like to be clear about what we want to accomplish in that 20 minutes to half an hour.
Well,
So, you know.
right when we started this meeting, I went around and asked every member,
Tax cap.
tax cap.
Yep.
Every member says we would like to keep, we're keeping below tax cap.
Yes.
So that's what we set out toward, $5.2 million. And that's what we need to do. If we're serious and be genuine, we need to work towards that. If you don't support, the unallocated tax, that's fine. But let's work on another revenue line. Let's work on another expense. Let's work on something else. I'm willing to make any compromise on any line that I made recommendation on. I am not digging my heel in the sand. I am willing to make compromise if possible to achieve that number.
Could I ask Mr. Bucamo, please, so, with these numbers and monies coming out of our fund balance for next, 2027, would you say that the city could be bankrupt with the amount of money that's looking to be withdrawn?
If possible, we don't know that it would be unforeseen circumstances, I mean, we're looking at 4.1 million if you use the 2 million owes. It's not a good situation.
No.
To say the least.
And as in our own personal budgets, I know what it's like to live like that, and it's not good. We have to be responsible to, in the past, we have to be responsible to our residents, and we have to have money there for emergencies. They're looking to us, not to bankrupt our city and to increase the taxes in 2027 by above the tax cap again. So, I mean, that's my only point to inflating these revenues. And we just have to keep searching for this 5.2 somewhere. I don't want to cut positions by any means. 50 jobs, I mean, you kidding me? Our city runs pretty efficiently now than when I first came on, pre-COVID, right?
If I may say this,
Yes.
you're the only one on this table
Yes.
is talking about cutting jobs.
Oh, no.
So let's be real sensitive, because people are listening to this, staff are listening to this. You're the only one that is talking about cutting staff for like a couple of those, multiple times.
Yes.
I didn't have to say that, and I'm
I
gonna
didn't
say
say
it
you
right
did.
now. Nobody's saying that. We have to be sensitive, and I like what you just mentioned, that we have to look out for our taxpayer. You're saying that don't bankrupt the city, but do we want to bankrupt the taxpayer too? So, and I think this calls for drastic action that needed to happen. Going forward, we need to start, and I'm gonna repeat this because we keep repeating this over and over during budget time. Well, do more with less. And how do we able to adjust the budget so that we don't increase costs on the back of taxpayers?
Right.
It is our responsibility that we sit here and we can come up with recommendation, with numbers, so that we can achieve that $5.2 million. And I'll say this, if you look at any budget across any organization, it's an estimate. It is not inflating, we may use the word inflate numbers, but it's always an estimate, and hope and pray that that estimate is achievable.
And I feel so the estimates that was presented in the mayor's budget were, I think, possibly even over a little inflated to help keep the tax.
Are you saying about the main inflated budget?
Not no, but those are true estimates, true
Yeah,
estimates.
you don't wanna say that.
No.
You wanna correct that.
I do want to correct that.
Yes.
But they're all estimates, I mean, he doesn't know.
That's what I'm saying, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
But we're.
The mayor present an estimate to us, we can recommend to the mayor and say, Mayor,
This
we
is what
think
we
as a
think.
body
Right.
that you should increase that to $5, plus $5 more. And that's what we're debating all the time for the last debate. Why are we raising it $5 on top of the mayor? Here is the reason. And it's up to him now to, take it or leave it.
Mr. Chairman, again, I want to say that I submitted my numbers in good faith, and I do think that either raising taxes, astronomically or cutting 50 jobs, I believe that that is a false choice at this point, and I don't want to really honor that because I don't believe that to be true. I do believe that there's some conversations that probably need to happen in executive session about some inquiries that I have. And I'm not really, and I'm saying maybe we need to do that because I really want to make sure that we're all on the same page and have the same level of understanding.
I agree. I'll let you roll the room myself. 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's already 10 minutes in, so I can go into executive session, discuss what you have, and then we'll recess and come back tomorrow. Because I'm not gonna sit here and us going around in circles. With all respect, I'm not attacking anybody. We have to be serious. What a discussion
Well,
we did
I'm
outside.
sorry, but I think we all are being serious. I think we're all trying to figure out the same thing. I think the problem is going to be that it's gonna come down to, I mean, we can go back through the revenue lines again. Maybe we need to try to estimate more in cannabis revenue or something like that, but I'm just saying, I mean, I think we're all expressing similar kinds of things to a certain extent, which is we're gonna be in trouble if we take too much money out of the fund balance. What's gonna happen when it's all gone, right? I mean, how does that, we didn't even bring up the fact that not having any reserve fund might affect our bond rating in the future as well, in terms of some of the things that we might need to borrow money for. I'm just saying, I mean, I think everybody's trying to be serious. I think everybody's trying to be aware of taxpayers, but
You
we're in
mentioned
we're in a pickle.
you
we're in
mentioned
a pickle.
cannabis. You mentioned cannabis taxes. So, would you like to make a recommendation that what we do with that? You want to increase it? So these are things I'm asking. I mean, you look at the numbers. You look
I mean,
at
I
what's
guess-
in front of us. Do you have a recommendation to increase it? Put it on the table.
Well, I already did make one, but we were all pretty much aligned on that one. I'm just saying, we might have to go back through it. We don't have to do it tonight, but we might have to go back through it and see if there's other ways that we can raise more revenue,
Ms. Patrick,
other than,
that's what I'm
I'm happy
asking.
to compromise.
That's
to
what
a
I'm
certain
asking
extent.
over and over. If you have a recommendation that you would like to make, please put it over.
Okay,
We
well,
will update the sheet, we will present it back again and look at our numbers.
okay, I will go
Please,
back to the
I'm asking you
recommendations
that
that I
over and
already
over.
made and
Yes.
see if any of them have not
We're
been
going
taken.
to Tuesday. This budget is due in the next couple of days. We do not want to relive what we did a couple of years ago. And I said we, including myself. But let's be serious, and that's why I'm using the term very strong. Let's be serious.
Well, I think we all need to be serious.
Yes,
with that.
let's be, yes,
Absolutely.
I'm using that word we.
Mr. Chairman, I'll consult with Corporation Counsel to see if the questions that I have need to be handled in executive session, because it seems like we won't be passing out a budget tonight. So I think I'll give my colleagues the
That's the night off.
no.
Night is far spent.
Hey, I did my homework. All right, y'all don't stop.
Yeah.
So I think that I have no problem conferring with Corporation Counsel to see offline to see if my inquiries need to be handled in executive session. If so, we can do that at a later date.
But before you do that, I hate to say, I repeat this, but please, you have recommendation, please submit it to Derek. It's not fair for him to come here and then 5 or 10 minutes after we have to send him back to go and update the sheet. So let's be fair with them. Submit our recommendation tonight, early tomorrow morning. Give them an opportunity to update the sheet, so when we reconvene tomorrow at 5:30, we are looking at a revised sheet, the new or updated recommendation. Go ahead and ask,
Oh no, that's what I said. It doesn't have to happen.
Bill, you don't want it directly?
No, not that I don't think it needs to happen now.
Mr. Williams. After calling.
Yep. I don't know if there's a question.
No, I just think you have anything. I know you want to wrap this up tonight, but, Ms. Porter, anything else?
I'm where I am gonna ask this for, just as I asked the our amount that was in the salaries, I wanted for everything, so I will have to, everybody's got up for that every month. And, but my recommendations are where they are. So certainly have made some, changes to it based on conversation we've had at the table. And as been said over and over, I am not in agreement with, exceeding the tax cap. It would be detrimental to our residents and to the city overall to have a mass action of people avoiding a slew of houses now foreclosed on because people could not afford to pay their taxes. So we are in a very scary situation. I give my recommendations, and we best have to do is look at ways of increasing our revenue. I'll go back to pilots, I will always go there because, I'm finding out more and more about that. And, just, that's where I am. And in terms of pilot, I just want to make it clear that everyone got that email that said August 4th, that was sent to this table, that, by Mr. Torres, she had received it, but, after arguing amongst us, she realized that she did, and received it back in August. And I just,
That wasn't me.
well, I just want to make that as a public announcement, so I want to make a public correction that everyone did get that. It's not some information that was withholding, so that no one knew. So that was out there and still looking at that. And, those are ways that we have to look at how we're increasing our revenue. And it should not remain year after year, and it should not only, in going to raise taxes, should not only be the only way to raise revenue. So I'm comfortable with the numbers I've given you, Mr. Woodruger, and see how we have.
Just before, go ahead, please.
I would say the only addition I would like to see, one, is Mr. Guguma, if you can, as we've all identified, not wanting to go or exceed the tax cap, can you fill in the gap between our suggested totals for individual budget lines and then what funds would need to be drawn, moving over to fund balance
Because we're nowhere
for
close.
our next
Yeah.
budget next month?
Good question.
How much we need to not exceed, as outlined and provided,
To not exceed the tax rate.
just a point of reference.
That's for one clarification. Are you also including in that the estimate that we may need to spend on the things that was discussed earlier tonight? Which is about 1.2 million is the estimate that Mr. Guguma gave us that we may need for other things that might be outstanding.
That number is low. Mr. Guggenheim is referring to one issue that's pending. There's two.
So two. You said two, and you gave us that number.
That was
2 years.
For 45 is to be retro, and then 26.
This is,
Okay.
maybe we do need a session.
Mr. Williams, just for the record, update, you're aligning your, recommendation with Mr. Farley's recommendation.
For you, that I can find myself supporting your revenue line recommendations.
So please, make those, notes or, to make those changes. And then are you adding a row at the top to see where each members are off in front of the dollar? To kind of gauge.
As your best wisdom, was to identify.
Yeah, I recommend that we do it based on individual members, so we know how far we are off, in terms of, getting to the 5.2. Are there any other businesses for finance committee? I ask for motion that we recess the finance committee until 5:30 tomorrow.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.